Hi everyone, this is Brooke Skidmore with Awaken Arise, and today is Monday, June 1st. And today I thought we could talk a little bit about something called controlling the controllables. And this is a topic that comes up frequently in my consulting with my athletes and teams. And we've kind of touched on it a little bit in the past in terms of, we've talked about sometimes we think we're good at multitasking. For example, my dad swears that he's really good at multitasking, but most of us really can't do multiple things really well at one time. We can't do a task well if our whole focus is not devoted to that task in that moment. Or put another way, we'll do better in a task if the majority of our focus is in that one direction. And just as an example, a few years ago I had a volleyball team who, during one of their games, there were people in the crowd who were yelling some pretty rude comments. The crowd can be distracting in and of itself. The crowd can be loud, obnoxious, and noisy. But in this case, it was taken to a different level. Some of the people in the crowd were yelling things at individual players. So comments directed at people based on, they would shout out their number and then yell something disrespectful, obscene, or hateful, degrading. So talk about distracting when you're trying to play and you're trying to focus, and then hearing these comments directed specifically at yourself. And so one thing that I worked on with this team that season was concentration skills, specifically working on controlling what was in their control. This can be a hard thing to do sometimes, but it's something that's essential for high performance. And so what do I mean when I talk about the controllables? Let's talk first of all about what's out of my control. So for example, if you are an athlete, maybe like we just talked about, the crowd, their comments, the noise, the distractions, that's out of my control. My coach's behavior, their actions are out of my control. My parents, the weather. Even if you play in indoor sports, let's say that the AC is out one day, so the conditions, the playing conditions are out of my control. And why does that matter? Where if I'm focusing on some of those things, they do impact my performance, so shouldn't I be focusing on those things? Well, if you think about if 30% of my focus is in the crowd and what are they thinking, what are they saying, what are they going to say, if 10% of my focus is what do I look like or how do I look in my uniform, if 25% is on the score, then I only have a fraction of my focus left to devote to passing this next ball on serve receive, for example. So I want to kind of eliminate all those things that have nothing to do with this task and put all of my focus, all of my concentration in the direction of the task at hand. And so we usually find that when we focus on the things that we have no control over, so some of those things we just listed that are out of my control, if I'm focusing on those things, that tends to result in things like frustration, anxiety, fear. And most of us know that when we're playing in a place of anxiety or frustration, we're not playing at our best. Our performance isn't always the best. So what should we be focusing on then? What is in our control? One thing that I think can be helpful to think about if you're trying to think about what's in your control is to think about your P's. PEA specifically. Peas are nutritious. They have a strong nutrient, bang for your buck, lots of fiber, protein even, little vitamin C, vitamin A, so lots of good stuff in peas. Not these peas, because this is what I used to ice my knees with, so these have been thawed and frozen like a million times. But in general, peas are great. And so in terms of our performance, think about these peas. So first of all, I have complete control over my preparation, right? So in terms of your preparation, most high performers choose wisely where they're spending their time. They are the master of their own schedule. So think about your preparation right now. Is your efforts each day, the actions you're choosing each day, are they helping you propel yourself towards your goals? In terms of our effort, that's another thing. We have control over our own personal effort. So think about your effort right now. In my office, I have a sign that says, every day, do your best. And I think it's such a simple but powerful thing to think about. Every day, am I giving my all? Or am I just kind of going through the motions? So think about where your effort is at in your sport, in your coaching, in your business, in your relationships. Where is your effort going? What's the level of intensity of your effort? And then finally, of course, our attitude. Regardless of how things are going in our life, we always have complete control over our attitude. We talked about this last week, right? Like how we're perceiving our situation, regardless of what the outcome or the results are. And so think about that for yourself right now. Is your attitude moving you towards your goals? Is it propelling you forward as opposed to bringing you down and taking your focus away from where it needs to be? So think about that this week. Think about your P's and controlling the controllables in order to achieve high performance in whatever your performance domain is at this time. Good luck with that this week.